We're going live. We're live. So let me pull it up on here and just check. You got a phone?
Should I use mine? Go. Yeah, YouTube. Slide. Sorry.
I just want to check the volume.
Volume sounds okay to me. There you go.
Can you watch this one?
Keep your yards. So.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Oh, the screen. Everyone's in the screenshot, yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yep.
I'll pull it up here on a monitor here as well in a second, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everybody. So today is the first of inshallah many sessions, and the main topic today is positivity. So before we get started, the first thing we'll do is I'll introduce our panel, and then we'll go into what we're going to talk about today. So on my right is Mufti Amjad, mashallah, head of the Olive Academy. On my left is Molana Sajid, who obviously we all know very well is the head of the Imam of the Masjid and head of the Paradise Academy. And we have Dr. Waqas with us, who's mashallah sitting at the calf in our Masjid, and our resident doctor.
You mentioned that we all know Molana Sajid very well. You implied by that no one knows me. I took a little bit of offense to that.
You took a little bit of offense?
A little bit, not a lot, because it's Ramadan and we're supposed to be forgiving. But I took a tiny little bit, like,
You didn't pay me enough.
I'll clearly know.
No, but they'll get to know you now.
That's true.
And that's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Carry on. Sorry, Babar, for disturbing you.
So from the Olive Foundation, we have Mufti Sahib.
That's it. Thank you.
That we all now we already know you. Right? Tomorrow I can say that everybody knows.
Thank you very much. That's it. Job done. Alhamdulillah. I can go now.
No, you need to stay so they get to know you better.
Okay, that's
mashallah.
Just need to talk about something.
true.
Yeah. And that's a good segue into what we'll do today. So today we're going to talk about positivity in Islam today and how we live our life and how we can stay positive. So I'm going to hand it over to the floor. It's very informal. If you guys have questions, put them in your comments. I'm going to pull the comments up here in a second, inshallah, and then we'll start talking about. We'll get questions from your comments, inshallah. So let's open the floor. How do we stay positive in an environment that we are in today? Anyone got any thoughts on it?
Smile is a positive way.
It's a charity, it's sadaqah, no?
Absolutely.
When you smile, can everybody smile? Bring some positivity into this program.
SubhanAllah. That's a start, isn't it? MashaAllah.
No, but I can understand how people can feel negative.
Especially in this environment, in the current situation, right?
Yeah. Confined in a space, everybody sort of next to each other, maybe in each other's way a little bit, can work up a little bit of a negative vibe.
Spending more time than you usually do with people.
That's right, but shouldn't we be turning that on its head?
But that's the positive thing, no?
That's what I mean. We should be turning that on its head, shouldn't we?
Yeah, indeed.
So changing things negative into positive.
But spending more time gives us, so in this current climate, you're referring to the lockdown situation. So there's been people whom don't regularly see their family, their children, etc. because of work and other commitments. But is that not a good thing that now they're spending time at home with their families? In Ramadan, we almost certainly give everything to our women and folk in the house to do. So the positive spin could be in the last days where the men are not allowed to come to the masjid and do itikaf. Maybe Mufti Sahib mentioned yesterday that the men folk could try and help out in the house a lot more and give a positive side to the females and let them go into seclusion and spiritual seclusion.
Yeah.
Some of the positive feedback that I've got is, mashallah, a lot of the men are helping out in the kitchen now.
Obviously.
So, mashallah, they're helping their
What,
wives.
they're eating? How are they helping?
Food.
Okay, they're cooking food.
Even I've got into the kitchen.
How you?
During this.
Did you need a map to get there, or did you work it out on your own? You have to like pull up the plan of the house and say, I can't know what's that rule.
What's that rule?
Most of the time, I think we all know where the kitchen is, but we only go in to take things out.
Do we actually go to take things out, or do we expect it delivered to us?
I don't know. It depends. Sometimes when you're all alone in your house, you need to go in and take something.
Nowadays, you know what the family WhatsApp group is for? It's for deliveries to the dining room. Can you get some sauce with that?
What's on tonight's menu?
What's on the menu? Well, let's take it from a mathematical view. Two negatives make a positive, don't they?
Yeah.
So if there's a lot of negativity, that could become positive, can't it? From a mathematical
I don't
perspective.
know. For me, I'm alright.
Yeah.
I don't see any negativity.
Muslims should always be positive. We've said that, haven't we?
Indeed.
Because we shouldn't despair, right? Because negativity is about despair, isn't it? And despair normally comes about when you kind of lost hope. You've kind of, given up in a way. You've kind of felt that you're abandoned and you're left alone. And we've got to try to change that. But it's not unnatural either to feel negative and to feel sad. It's a natural thing. We know even the Prophet ﷺ at times would feel down. We know, Surah Ad-Duha and Surah Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak. These came to console the Prophet ﷺ. So we shouldn't think it as a bad thing, should we, Mona?
Because I think whether it's lockdown or whether any other time of life when you are down, as Muslims, there's two big things that we have, and especially during this lockdown, I've learned one thing is we've got Allah. So we can always resort to namaz, Quran, dhikr, azkar, and we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that gives us contentment and happiness. And the second of all, hukuk al-ibad, we've got our family, we've got our parents there, we've got our wives there, our children there. So, you've got your family there as well. So you've got the best of both worlds.
So in a way, you're talking about the insular side of us, yani our relationship with Allah, and the external sort of side of us.
So alhamdulillah, so what I've learned from this lockdown is that alhamdulillah, the ni'mas and blessings that we have, because if you read about it, a lot of people are lonely during this period. And even before this period, and I was reading, I think there's about 250,000 people, all elders, that live alone and don't talk to anybody during the week.
We don't have to go farther. It's within our own masjid. Elders, folk that come and fill the masjid rows while living alone.
So if for some this is the norm. That's what you're saying. So for some this is the norm, and in a way we're getting a taste of it. So we know now what others feel. But you've also said that we still are not alone because we have family. So even though we are locked down in our houses, we have family around us, which others may not have. So in a way, the positive of that is that it's a case of reflection, isn't it? Trying to take stock of what you have. A chap just around me earlier is somebody when I went down to London and I gave bayans there, and he said that, the beginning of lockdown, I was taking stock of life. But now you've got used to lockdown, you get busy again. Do you know what I mean?
I understand. The norm is now lockdown.
Yeah, the norm is now lockdown.
We've adapted to that. So humankind is made in a way that wherever you place him, he will adapt to that situation.
That's right.
So if we live in an urban city, we adapt. If we live in a village in Pakistan, we adapt and adjust to that scenario. But one thing about lockdown that I've noticed, and maybe you guys have as well, is that from a community perspective, we may have not been doing certain things that we should have been doing prior to lockdown that we do more so now. For example, Molana Sajid mentioned that our elder folk who are alone, and this is their normative, and there are many people alone. So we actually some people have been making the effort to call elders whom they know who are alone, give them a call, how they are, can we get you some shopping, get you some milk, bread, essential, especially in the first weeks of lockdown, because there was quite a good push from the government to extol virtue of this. And this is the virtues that we should have had anyway as Muslims. I think this has brought back some sort of feelings of some community cohesion within our
I've seen a lot of that as well. Charities getting together across the country, even madaris and masajids, not necessarily charities, that are getting food together and getting a thing and delivering to doorsteps. So in a way,
I think even where people have cut off relationships because of the pandemic, and people were thinking, I might go during this period or I might lose a loved one. What people have done is picked up their phone or on the Skype or whatever it is, on the video phones, and they're ringing, whether it be back home or whether it be relatives around, and they're talking to them. People that they haven't talked for years, they're falling out with. So alhamdulillah, it's brought positivity, it brought people together, it brought people our purpose of life, and lots of things, alhamdulillah. So I think, and it's also taken us away from materialistic things, because our daily life was just wake up, programmed, going to work, earning lots of money, come back home. And
So
now
you used to earn lots of money, Molana.
Subhanallah. That's all you picked up from what you
That's
said.
the only bit I picked up. I blanked everything else out he said. But as soon as he said
Money.
I go out and I earn lots of money, I thought that this is not compute.
He hides it. He hides it, alhamdulillah.
So I have a question on this, and I think we picked up on the topic when you talk Molana Sajid, when you talk about loneliness, and we talked about that people feel lonely. So is there anything like practical, like let's say someone's feeling lonely, some practical advice that you think you can give someone that if you're feeling lonely, if you're not feeling quite up to it, what are the practical steps you can do, practical steps you can implement to start helping yourself? And to
one thing I encourage a lot of people was, and even within our own relatives and our circles, was keep in contact with elders, keep in contact with vulnerable people. Sometimes we've got a lot of families that live alone, or a single mother, or whatever it may be, and so keep in contact with them if they need anything, because a lot of people are stuck at home or are self-isolating. So the thing was just to keep in contact, ring them, ask them. Just sometime, when you pick up a phone, I know when I come to the masjid every day, previous to the lockdown, with the elders, they would just same question every day: how's the weather? Do you understand? Oh, mashallah, it's nice weather today, and that's it. They just need somebody to talk to, and just somebody just to walk those few steps with. And
That's right. That's right. I think as a community we've become very selfish, unfortunately, and that's the slightly negative part, which I'm going to quickly become positive now. And we need to keep that community cohesion. We strive to keep communities cohesion, meaning other communities, whether people of other faiths or no faiths. Well, as a community, I think we've kind of turned a blind eye, the looking inside as a community. And for some people, the masjid was obviously a place of ibadah, but it was also a social kind of gathering as well, where people could get to know, see someone. Maybe this was the only time they actually talk to somebody. So it's trying to, as we move out of lockdown, and as the self-isolation is removed, how we should understand that better. But again, I kind of go back to that, getting back into that normal routine, and normalized, and then kind of forgetting these things. So it's a case of trying to remember them.
I think with respect, just to spin off what you've said, with this current lockdown and not having the association with or regular association with the masjid that we normally used to have, it's kind of sense if you speak to anyone outside who try to attend the masjid, they feel a gap in their life, and they have more appreciation of the mosque and the masjid than what it involves and what it offers. So there's more love for the masjid now. It's been greater love, and hopefully, inshallah, once the government guidelines come out, maybe in July or when it's reviewed,
the mosque will be packed, and the imams will get more money.
I think that's an important point that Molana mentions there. And we're going to keep it positive, but we should value our imam, shouldn't we, mashallah? The role he plays, because he's not just playing the role, because sometimes we just see him as the chap who leads our prayer, leads the Jummah, leads the Eid Salah, and then that's it. But there's that kind of social role he plays, where as somebody who's a listening ear, the imam sahib, mashallah, might come with his own baggage from home or from
just
work.
here and thinking about these ideas between ourselves.
That's right.
It's an inventive idea.
It is.
That, we've not done before.
That's right.
So it's a way of.
So that community role Imam plays, I think that that's something we shouldn't undervalue. It becomes the masjid, even in lockdown, through this kind of thing, and other masajids and madaris that are doing,
they're still active.
It's still active, it is still showing the role the masjid can play, which shows a unique thing of the Deen of Islam, in a way that it changes with circumstances, scenarios. It's the one religion. If you look at the Jewish community at the moment and the Christian community, they've not reacted as well as the Muslim community has to lockdown and the impact of religion. So that's
the beauty of our deen, that it's adaptable with time and change. And like, even though the mosque had to close, we can carry on praying our namaz at home. The worship continues. Allah still is worship.
It's one of the virtues which the Prophet also mentions, isn't it? That I was given, this ummah was given something which we can pray anyway. So it's a gift given
also
to
our
us.
Prophet taught us not to make our homes a graveyard.
That's right. That's
And the
right.
thing is, sometimes, yes, we're supposed to do first in the masjid and then nawafil at home, but sometimes we've abandoned those nawafil at home.
Yeah.
And so this was the opportunity to revive those sunnats at
Well,
home.
it's also you get a chance to pray in Jama'at, which you may not have done with
At
family.
home, so Taraweeh is happening at home.
Yeah.
So many people have mentioned, sorry to interrupt. Many
No,
people
no,
have
fire away,
mentioned
man. Don't worry, I'll take you out, and once this video is over, then you and I'll sort you out.
Right,
We'll start the student. But for now, let's just
What
keep
happens
it.
every day in our masjid?
But how can we do that and keep social distancing? I don't
Good
understand.
point. What I don't know. What we'll do is we'll work around now. We're inventive people. I got. How I do
No,
that.
but they have that boxing where you can't touch.
Yeah, no, there
They
is
use that program.
those sticks with a glove on the end.
Do you remember that program?
You can do that, can you? A 2-meter stick.
Yeah.
I think the program you're referring to
Shadow
was
boxing.
many
Shadow
years ago
boxing.
was gladiators.
Yeah, something like that.
Contenders are you ready? Gladiators are you ready? And this is going back a few years.
Yeah.
Certainly in your
So we'll see a lot of blood outside Durham Road.
Outside the road,
I can't
inshallah.
go outside. Yeah.
He's not allowed, so then we'll have to. That's means he'll have to be somewhere else. No, we'll work that out.
You
inshallah.
can't
We'll work
cause
that out.
any harm.
So you mentioned Tarawih, sorry, before we got
Tarawih,
into beating you.
many people doing Tarawih at home.
That's right.
So your families. So before where Master mentioned, where the home would be quite idle or
That's
empty
right.
from Salah.
That's right.
Just the women folk possibly praying Salah. Now you have families where
Plus, in a way, you can actually find out if the women folk actually do Tarawih. Innit? You always go to the masjid, say, I'm off to the masjid, they're doing Tarawih, and they say, yeah, I'm just about to start as well.
drama.
And then you
On the other hand, the women folk can see that we're praying.
he's a feminist deep down, isn't he?
Yeah. You know when we say we're going to the masjid, we really go to the masjid. So dear now our women.
You know what? I think Molana's missus is watching this.
No, I think
He just gave brownie points, so he gets extra kebabs tonight.
with respect to Master, he's very balanced. He's looking at both sides of the argument.
Exactly.
Whereas you and I probably got a skewed view of things. So Master probably alluding
For time blood, didn't you?
That's probably it.
to the fact that when
I was waiting for how long Molana Sajid was hold back before he done coming.
He did just under half an hour.
Just under half an hour.
So
you
that's
can
not
hold
bad.
it
That's
in.
not
Half
bad.
an hour already.
Yeah, so that's not bad. He's done a good job. So I think we should commend him for that. So well done.
So, alhamdulillah.
So I mean,
Yeah, sorry. So you're saying about
there's a lot.
not that we're making any accusations on either the women folk or the men folk.
I was just saying there's a lot of kids that used to come towards the masjid and maybe play 2 rakats of Tarawih and then scuttle off somewhere else and then rejoin. They timed it perfectly. You ought to give the kids some benefit, some credit for this. Thank you. But they used to time it and just come for with her at the time. So pray for us, maybe up down for 2 rakats sunnah and then join in for Tarawih and then.
What kind of mathematical formula were they using?
It's a simple.
Right, to determine-
This habit is going to take half an hour, man.
But
So
we can't just read that, Muqtab, I'm sure.
Oh, years ago.
obviously years ago you're that old.
When you come back in 18th rakah.
It was 19.
So your timing was a bit off.
Yeah.
You got to make it for.
You. I used to get here and the masjid was closed.
And your dad was like, where's that?
Where is he gone?
This is back in the square days, isn't
I
it?
know it's great. Yeah.
Was Nimba there at that time?
Namir has been there for ages. Yeah, mashallah. It's
that?
moved around.
Yeah,
He used to be in one house and then he went to another one and then into another one. Now it's
the
been
current
there.
location. That's where I remember.
Yeah, this been it's
early
that's,
90s.
that's right.
So now we could all monitor everybody.
Now we can monitor everything. That's another positive thing is that we can all keep an eye on each other.
We can do what the government should have done is track and trace.
We wait for the conspiracy theories to come
All
out.
conspiracy. It's in the
But
Bible.
in Islam, it's encouraged to compete with one another. Indeed.
It's
So at home now, we can all compete in reading more Quran or reading Nawafil or whatever. And so, you're competing or how many spells. I know we've got a competition going at home and,
No, I think it's a good. I think this family thing. It brings together. Obviously, for some people, the lockdown isn't ideal in terms of employment, especially Mona, who used to go out and make lots of money and come home. But for most of us, obviously, who are on a meager wage, it means that you don't have any outside pressures. You don't have to go to work. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do
Some
these.
people have been more free.
Yeah, so so it's given that, you could be maybe short, obviously, especially Pathans. You could be maybe short fused or short tempered, whatever. At least what that does is that, you now have a long time to get angry. You don't have to get angry immediately. You can work your way up. So maybe around Zuhr time, you could be sinning. As you get towards Asr, you could be bubbling. And when you get to Maghrib, that's when you explode like a volcano.
So if the time once you fed and watered.
Once you've been fed water. Now it doesn't matter because obviously you've got what you want to, which was food and water. Now it doesn't matter if you act like an idiot.
You did just before.
Only an idiot would do that. That would be the guy turning up to the masjid after the Witr Salah. His timing would be out there.
But anyway, apart from lockdown, I think generally as a Muslim, we should always be positive. Like I said to you, I know that we're Muslims, we got Iman. That's the greatest gift. The kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And everything happens from Allah. Goodness, badness, it's all from Allah Ta'ala. So when we got our good moments, alhamdulillah, when we go through bad moments, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun, turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And testing times will always come. And this life is a test for us anyway. The real happiness is eternal happiness, is Jannah. So whilst we're in this, whether it's lockdown or whether it's we're going through a situation or scenario, we've lost our family member and we're down, we should still be positive in the sense that it's from Allah.
And what that reminds me of, Mona, is the hadith, ad-dunya sijnul mu'min, right? That the dunya is a prison for the believer. And a prison itself is you are locked in, because the whole definition of a prison is your freedom has been taken from you. And you're locked away, you're told how to dress, you're told when to eat, what to eat, you're told where to go, what type of relationships you can and can't have. You're literally informed like you would be in a prison, where you can, what time you shower, when you shower, the whole thing.
Bordering on the draconian laws that Orwell spoke about.
That's right. But this is something which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed the believer in. Why? Because he should always be wishing to be out of the prison. That eventually I will leave this prison, and nobody stays in prison forever, okay? Well, most people don't. Even lifers nowadays don't actually stay for life.
True lifetimers used to stay for
life. Now you don't, unless you're in Texas somewhere and you're on death row, but then eventually you'll get killed. Well, even the death row is quite a long death row, isn't it? Like some guy who's been on death row for 10 years, you think it wasn't death row, like a death motorway.
It's prolonged.
Like a M1. And like a long death row. Row is like a street, like
White Road. I mean, what's that?
So much, yeah.
Woodview.
Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. Yeah. So for us, our whole life is like that. Our whole life.
So dunya is a prison for a Muslim. And what Marshal Musa you're saying is that where we've got to follow instructions. And what's our instruction? Quran and Sunnah, the teachings of Allah and His Rasul. And we want to fulfill those temptations and desires,
like everybody else does. Yeah,
but we're bounded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah knows what's best for us, and we have to make those sacrifices in the dunya and the akhirat. In Jannah.
Don't get me started about Jannah now.
Okay, so that's it.
This is why Ramadan is beautiful, because Ramadan, for various reasons. The first reason, of course, you guys are more well versed than I am.
He's claimed.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
So it's a commandment from Allah, and that's why we try and fast throughout the day, right? But another thing it is that things that we normally would do, eat and drink, and everything else that goes along with that, we refrain from that. So those temptations that we would normally have, we've abandoned those for Allah's pleasures. And so the lockdown should be, in essence, Allah has put this thing upon us. And you mentioned yesterday, who knows what reasons? Maybe we weren't giving the masjid its right. Maybe we weren't fulfilling Allah on His rights, or our families, friends, spouses, children, whatever. And this is why it's come upon us. And so we have to now think of a way to try and
and that positivity means, we as believers sometimes we think that we can't sin, or rather, as soon as we sin, we're kind of away from Islam or something, or Islam doesn't want us anymore, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want us anymore, because we behave like the way we would with humans. So if I did something to you and then I did it again, after a while I would think,
we'll keep it in there.
Yeah, he'll keep it in there, and I'm never gonna have that same relationship with Waqas again, or I'm not gonna have that same relationship with Molana again. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not like that, you see. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes when a person who commits a sin and then calls on him for forgiveness. And that's this is such a profound thing that we have. He likes it, the repentant slave coming to him. This is something which he speaks very, very highly of. So as believers, that's again, we have always had that door open. That door is always
Plus,
there.
because of lockdown, we've learned many masail of regarding plague and pandemics that we weren't aware of. Do you understand? And so you learn how beautiful your Islam is, and again, wherever we are, we don't need to go into a negative state. Turn towards Allah. Allah is always there, and
It's natural to do them all. I know, when you're feeling the kind of world around you, but it's just taking that time to think, isn't it?
yeah, I think we've had the time to think and ponder.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting, Molana. Interesting you said there, Mufti Sahib, is that it's a natural thing to do when you're in a bad situation, to make the worst of it
That's right.
and go down into a downward
That's
spiral.
right. That's right.
And like you said, it's that thing where you step back and go, actually, you know what? Let me think about this. What's the worst that can happen in this
Let me
situation?
put this in perspective.
In perspective, and with context of some of the stuff that we've already talked about today. Like, this is not my end goal. My end goal is
That's
the
right.
next life. So
That's right.
what's the worst? I trust in Allah. This is whatever situation you're in. This has come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
That's right.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't bestow someone with something that they can't deal with.
Absolutely.
I can deal with this.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just, but it resonates that bit where once you're in that spiral, once you're in the moment,
Yes.
and you're there,
It can grip
you
you.
know what I mean? It can
Yes.
grip you.
It can.
You
It can
get that
suck you
tunnel
in.
vision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is my thing.
so during our lockdown, we could still go to Morrison, and we could still go to our takeaways, and we could still
well, that's it.
enjoy the
That's
blessings.
it.
You know?
It's not the
And
worst.
if you look around the world,
Yeah.
some people.
Well, this is what I was saying about perspective. You're going out the masjid and your shoes have been stolen, and you're really angry about it, whatever.
Still got feet,
Well,
though.
you still got feet, exactly. There's other people, unfortunately. Whilst you're angry, stamping your feet, and I say, "Wait, joke too." The guy next to you is walking out with prosthetic limbs.
Sure.
Musa, you work with charities. There now has hunger stopped in the world?
That's
is
right.
the bombing stopped
That's
in the
right.
world?
No, we know
People
these are-
have been raped stopped
That's
in the
right.
world.
No.
Those
All those
people,
things happening.
these
Yeah.
atrocities are still
Absolutely.
going on.
Suicide is still
And
happening.
whilst we're stuck here and we're like worried in our home,
Yeah.
what's going on? What Qiyamah has come up on them people? Do you understand? And
it's a-
sometimes
yeah.
it's for us to just think that just this little, like I said, pandemic have affected it to such that we're like, oh, we're so worried. But we should always think about others. And that's what the beauty about Islam is, not to think about yourself, but think about others around you, and at least feel sympathy and what they're going through. And so I think, that's taught me a lot, that, think about others, don't just be greedy by yourself, and,
Some people have asked the question that, why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do this? And they've got the kind of negative vibe within deen because of that, and they start questioning things, why would Allah allow things like this for people to die, for my loved one to be taken away from me? And as a result, it starts to put doubt in their minds. Well, what they need to do is kind of put those sort of things to one side, that why does any teacher put his student in a certain predicament, or a certain trend? It's not for him to go into the corner and start to sob and cry. It's for him to rise to the challenge which that teacher has placed him under. So in this way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking tests from us to see how our reaction would be. And our reaction should be one of obviously acceptance, that we accept the will of Allah, whatever He has willed, and we will engage with the task. Whatever's in front of us, we will deal with it.
that teacher makes that student, isn't it?
And what
that's
happens
how
to,
when
and what
Allah
happens to that
subhanahu wa
student then when he passes the test? Is he better or worse for it?
Better.
It's always better.
So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested Ibrahim, every time he rose to us, Aslamtu li Rabbil Alamin, rise to the occasion,
That's
and every
right.
time he rose, he became Khalilullah, the friend
That's
of
it.
Allah.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, it's time for us to rise, and
And it's
never
good
despair.
it's good you mentioned the Anbiya, because in terms of the Anbiya and the test they went through, I can't recall a time where they reacted negatively, or felt negative. Yes, they felt emotions like humans. We saw the Prophet ﷺ cry when his grandchildren or his son was placed in his lap, and we've seen him cry. But this is a natural human reaction. You never see negativity. And you mention Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, you can mention Ayub alayhi salatu wasalam, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, Musa alayhi salam. You could go on, through all the Anbiya, what they've been through and how they persevered and how they did not let the situation get the better of them. And that's a good example that we have. to act on. Yusuf alayhi salam, 7 years, the Mufassirun say in prison for a crime he did not commit.
He didn't commit.
Yeah, you didn't see him stamp his feet. You didn't see him utter words
I
of
found the opportunity to give dawah.
Allah. I was going to say that. Instead, he turned the situation into a opportunity, a positive.
And what was his reward at the end?
Subhanallah.
He got elevated to such a state that
He saw the sun and the moon and the stars prostrate with those very same brothers who had taken him and abandoned him in a well to be left alone, recognized his status. And his father would already recognize his status at the beginning of the surah when he mentions the dream to Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, and Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam said, look, just keep this hush. This is a khush khabri, don't go spreading this. And again, was Yusuf alayhi salam's reaction to his brother one of revengeful aggression? Oh, now the shoe's on the other foot, you know what I mean? And I'm going to sort you all out. It wasn't like that at all.
There's so many lessons we can take from that. One is that even if a family member or many family members have been bad to you, the reaction to them is the opposite. Be good. If there's a person who hasn't spoken to you, you be the person, lift the phone up and call them. Nearly every family has that one person whom we don't speak with. Make the effort to call them. Our examples, our paths, they've laid out before us, and then we obviously got the path of the Prophet to follow.
And the Prophet was also exemplified that very same situation with Yusuf alayhi salatu and his brothers when he came back to Makkah, Fateh Makkah, after he had been extradited and left for 3 years. We don't remember this story too much in the valleys, where for 3 years he stayed alone with his family when they were, what's the word I'm looking for? Boycott. I knew the word would come to me from my Friends of Al-Aqsa colleague. So they were.
I didn't know that connection.
We're all Friends of Al-Aqsa.
No, I mean, I thought you're alluding to the actual.
It could be Lugatan or Ma'nan. We all are friends and lovers of Al-Aqsa, are we not?
Bismillah, Al-Aqsa.
There you go. We've done our bit for our Palestinian cause. We've done that bit now. I forgot to bring my grey and white scarf.
You need a badge as well.
You need a little badge. Molana, where's yours? It's in your pocket. So even the Prophet saw some 3 years where ladies had to boil leaves.
The beauty about Prophet was that now he had the fikr and the gham of the whole ummah, but he would never show that to the people. And when people would see him, he would smile, or people would feel that he's for me. Do you understand? He's talking to me. The Prophet would give them the full attention, and so the people would just, you just want to hold on to the Prophet of Allah. So the thing is, the Prophet and even the Prophet, one of the unique sifas of the Prophet was that when he would deal with people, he would deal with them accordingly. And I remember the hadith where one day the Prophet was leading the prayers of Fajr, and after Fajr, he asked the Sahabas, have you seen a dream? And nobody responded. So he said, I seen a dream. And I seen that the house of Hazrat Umar in Jannah. And he goes, it's really beautiful. Now I wanted to go inside the house, but I remembered the ghairat of Umar radiallahu anhu. He was an honorable person. And because of his ghairat, I didn't go in. And Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu listening, and he's crying. That, oh Prophet of Allah, what ghairat do I have over you? You should have gone in. And Prophet did riayat of the mizaj of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu. Like that with Hazrat Usman radiallahu anhu, there's another incident where Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu knocked on the door. Nabi Sallallahu gave permission to come in. Then Umar radiallahu knocked on the door. Then again Prophet gave permission to come in. Prophet saw like this, and a bit of his skin was revealing of the leg. And so what happened was, so when Hazrat Usman radiallahu anhu knocked on the door, straight away Prophet sat up properly and corrected himself because of the haya of Hazrat Usman radiallahu anhu. So the thing is, these are positive. What happens is that person that thinks, you know what, he's thinking about me. I'm special in his eyes. So it's about valuing the next person. And I think, at the end of the day, we're all sinful, and I'm the worst one amongst you guys. And the thing is, if you value every single person, whether he's Muslim, non-Muslim, he's a creation of Allah. And if somebody is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah created him. Do you understand?
That's right.
And how much value Allah has for that person. But after when Nur al-Islam people were destroyed, you remember when Allah Ta'ala, he taught Nur al-Islam to make pots. So he started making pots, and so Allah Ta'ala told him, carry on making pots. So Nur al-Islam thinking, I'm making all these pots. Then after a few days, Allah Ta'ala ordered him to smash every single pot. So he smashed every single pot. Now every time he was smashing a pot, it was hurting Nur al-Islam because I took out time to make every pot, but now I'm smashing every pot. So then Allah Ta'ala was teaching Nur al-Islam that they were my people. They were my band, my creation. Even though they didn't worship me, they're my people. And how they were all wiped out. So how Allah loves His creation. Obviously, and then somebody is a Muslim and a believer and worships Allah Ta'ala, he's even more close to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So the thing is, as a Muslim, like I said, it's positivity. We should spread positivity, and we should always be positive. And I think, the literally the smiling of the Sunnah, is a Sunnah, it's an act of charity. And
Man, if you came anywhere near my pots, if you came anywhere near my pots, Mona,
Do you have pots?
then I just leave it as ... We don't need to give a.
Do you have pots?
I may have.
No, I'm asking you. So
I think I have.
are they
pots.
from China?
No, they don't.
So, a couple of segues I wanted to make on that point. So we mentioned some stories of Anbiya, and we have a series on the YouTube channel. So if you want to go and go through them,
good plug.
a good plug that Molana Sajid has been doing throughout Ramadan. Every day he's been doing different prophets. Sometimes they've been going across this, so there's like some of the major prophets. And then Molana Reis has been doing the seerah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So some of these stories that the learned brothers are mentioning today, they're in them, so it'd be worthwhile to go back and have a look at them. I want to pick up on something that Molana Sajid said there. So you mentioned about smiling, and so you're talking a lot about the mental, and I know during lockdown a lot of people have been talking about the mental aspect and mental side, and we've kind of done a lot of talking today about the mental side, how you should be positive and how you should take a situation in retrospect as well. So what are some of the physical attributes? And you mentioned smiling there. What are some of the actions we can do to become more positive, especially in this sort of, and we've also mentioned stuff like phone calls, ringing other people. Is there anything else we can do in terms of like positivity?
I combed my hair today. I don't know if you can tell.
That's positive.
I thought so. And I come through my beard as well.
Mashallah.
But I can't see it anymore, so you must have taken it out.
Well, the beard.
The comb.
I put it through.
Oh, you put it through?
Yeah, that's what I said, put it through.
Right, but could it still be there?
Wait, I don't know, can you see it?
It's not there, but it could be. It could be in the denseness of it.
If you can't see it, then...
Well, you could be behind here. How do I know?
If you can't see it, then let's just say it's not.
Okay, we'll accept that.
So Waqas combing his hair is an achievement.
That's
For
more
me,
than
it
a
is.
achievement.
Lockdown.
I think.
If you go home, you ask the guys at home.
I think that alone will
So
get
the
you.
worst thing was that whilst he was at home, he didn't comb his hair. Once he got into the masjid, he's combed his hair.
Because there was a comb in the masjid.
No, for the camera.
For the camera, obviously. It's getting it.
His wife better not be watching.
It has been shared on the family group, so I don't
That's
know.
it. Well, I'm sure they are. The thing about, sometimes splitting things off, Babar, is the spiritual and the physical is our spiritual impacts on our physical.
Sure.
Okay? So when we say, oh, that brother's got a good heart, that doesn't mean that he's been to see Dr. Saab and his heart's pumping like nobody's business and his arteries are all clear, and I'm not going to say anything else because I'll probably say something medically wrong and then he'll laugh at me afterwards.
I won't laugh.
There's still something in there. Anyway, we'll get back to that. So when we say brother's got a good heart, then obviously we're not speaking from a medical, physical perspective.
It's allegorical meaning.
Yeah, it is. So we mean that there's something about him. Okay, now, if you would say, well, okay, if he's got a good heart, why are you saying his brother's got a good heart?
As opposed to a bad heart.
As opposed to a bad heart, okay? So he will start to describe those qualities, and it's those qualities we need to bring in. So he'll say, he's always smiling. Okay, we're going to keep using Molana's because obviously he's the Imam here, and if we're going to get hits on this thing, then we're going to keep saying what he says.
Okay.
So even if we don't agree with it. So smiling, okay, smiling.
Pay for every.
Yeah.
Every 1,000 likes.
Really something. So smiling, okay? Smiling, friendly. Okay, being friendly. One of the things that
He's first to say
I want to
something.
mention is, he's saying, he's always friendly, he's always caring, how things are going, and he will give you due attention. So friendliness, being helpful. Okay, so Prophet ﷺ was always helpful. There's never a situation where you'll find him that he was just sat. He was always helpful. If he was in the home helping his wives, helping whoever he's with, looking after his own stuff. If he was out, as soon as there was a knock on the door or a call, he would be off. You know, a delegation has come, he'll be off. Zakat has come from flattering place, he'll be off to distribute the zakat. Helpful. So these sort of 3-4 qualities.
Charitable as well.
Yeah, friendly, yeah, giving, you know, giving, always giving, not giving with the shart of receiving. But sometimes, you know, we get into that, you know, len den as we call it. We give, yeah, so, you know, but he's giving because of giving. You know, sometimes like when, you know, we're looking at whether it's weddings or whatever, or, you know, I'm not going to invite him, he never invited me, you know, always positive. Didn't allow the world to make him negative, rather he tried to make the world positive. So in that way, so that
Because I say most of you know, when people go through situations and scenarios, whether we lockdown or non-lockdown, you know, you need them, you need to give them that space sometime to cry it out, or they need a shoulder to lean on. And sometimes what happens is, you know, a person might be a regular in the prayers, but all of a sudden he's gone through a situation and now he's not coming. And instead of us asking, talking to him, brother, are you okay? I'm here for you. What we do is, I haven't seen you in the mosque for a few days. Where have you been? And what's happened? That
so in a way, that negativity,
negative, and it's knocked him and
further.
Yeah, further. And he just needed somebody to talk to, and so be that ear, so you know, to listen to. And I think listening. I know when I deal with people, yeah, the best way I deal is I let them talk, and then once they talk, they've just taken it off their chest.
That's exactly it.
And they feel better.
Or you prefer
It'll take an hour or 2 hours of my life, but the thing is, you know what? They feel better about it, and my thing is that hopefully Allah will reward me for it.
But I think it's also directing that talking to Allah. You know what we do sometimes, Molana, is Allah becomes a being that we worship, that we fast
ritualistic.
for.
Ritualistic.
Yeah, that we give zakat for. But he stops being our friend.
Yeah.
You know, Allah is our friend. You know, he's Wali al-Mu'mineen. You know, he's a friend of the believers. He's a protector of the believers. So like you would only tell your most intimate friend something, make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala your most intimate friend.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Molana, most time people just want to release it.
Yeah.
They don't want a solution. Like a sister might ring another sister up who's having a bit of problems with her husband, and she just wants the other sister to listen. She doesn't want her to say, you know, tell him where to go.
Yeah.
Don't make him no paratha tonight. You know, you stand your ground, sister.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to hear that. Well, she just wants to hear it out, right? Done. Okay, so done now. I'm not going to go do X, Y, Z. Well, isn't that far better? Okay, is that sharing that with Allah?
Yeah.
You know, he's your intimate friend. Speak to him. He already knows your affairs, but he wants you to go to him, speak to him.
But we've lost that connection.
We've lost that connection.
How do we make that connection when we're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whom we don't know? We don't know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
But we know his sifat.
We know some of his sifat, but we haven't educated ourselves.
That's right. So we need to know more of his sifats, his attributes.
But sometimes we've heard, even in the stories, I remember it's about Musa alayhi salam. I think a person was saying, I like to comb Allah's hair.
Yes. Yes.
It was out of ignorance or whatever. But it was their simplicity.
That's right.
And I think a lot of our parents and grandparents lived that simple life,
Yes.
but they did. They didn't ask, whereas those guys, are sure, and you know, and no, do it. Go to Allah, ask Him, and watch how He gives you. And I think it's just simple. Sometimes we don't need to complicate things.
No.
Just chew the card field and ask Him. Ask Him and say that. Ask Him.
And even if you don't need to ask, he's a very good friend, Molana, that the sali he'll give to your heart, nobody will be able to give you. You know, when you just speak to him and just be open with him, whatever type of language you want to use, just talk to him. You know, you can do.
Speak Pashto, innit?
Yeah, you can speak in Pashto, you can speak whichever language you like. In fact, I think you should only speak in Pashto first. But if you're not capable of comprehending such a complicated language, then you'll be allowed to use,
Arabic.
then you're allowed to use the other languages.
Arabic.
I've been here for I think 18 years. I think the only word I know is today.
Is there another word in the Pashto language? I thought there was only one word.
There's two.
There's a two.
I thought it's kebab.
Kebab, yes. No, we borrowed that. We borrowed that from Urdu.
That's a
Or
university.
Turkish. Or Farsi.
So what's the language?
Kebab. Kebab.
Yeah, I think, like Baba, you're saying, I think we need to just lend an ear to somebody and just talk to communicate. Communication is a big element of
So
it.
do you like sum up those characteristics we spoke about? You raised the question.
I want to ask one more, and then we'll go. Then I'll sum up, inshallah.
Do you have any questions?
No. So, Dr. Saab, you mentioned, whilst Molana Saab was talking there, you mentioned about rephrasing the question. So, what do you mean by when you talk
So
about
instead of saying brother, like Molana give the example of, brother, where have you been? Or you're not coming to the mosque. We can say something like, brother so and so, the mosque seems very empty. I haven't seen you for a while. How are you? And similar to what you're saying, but maybe just pose the question a different way. And when you pose it that way, he'll feel welcome, he'll feel loved, missed, whatever. And then he may even open up to one person and say, look, this and this has happened and I've had these issues. And then once you say, how are you? That can just open a few things where one may be able to help.
Your question isn't loaded with judgment.
No, certainly not. And I think that's a problem that we have innately to humans and then innately to Pakistanis and even Pakhtuns. We want to just put the finger on the person and say, you're the problem and you've messed up. And, point the finger at him rather than trying to work.
Well, isn't that something which is within us that we're projecting onto the other person?
That's what
low self-esteem. We feel we need to have the upper hand over the person. Whatever comes up, whatever.
It's the questioner's problem.
Yeah, the illnesses of the heart that we have.
It's not the person
we want to lash out and make it difficult.
It's always the questioner. Whenever he's invoking that sort of situation, it's the person who's asking that question in that way. Now, if the question is coming in a different way, like, how are you? We've missed you quite a lot. And even yesterday, Molana mentioned that we used to have a gentleman, we all know him, Rahmallah, Allah bless him, he's passed away, Rafiq Uncle. He was a cornerstone of this masjid, and that gentleman, for all my lifetime, I've been on this earth and come to this masjid. He was here 5 times a day, rain or shine. The poor gentleman, towards the end of life, close to the end of life, he couldn't walk properly. But we miss him. We still remind him in front time. How do we remember? We remember him because of the masjid, because of his connection to the masjid. And once I mentioned exactly what he used to do in Ramadan, Allah bless him in his grave and in the akhirah as well. He used to come and bring a small packet of pakode and come and sit in that room over there, and then put it in the corner and then distribute it along the dastakhan as much as he could, and then take his seat in the corner. He used to have a specific seat where he sit. And we have fondness and fond memories of that. And he used to, if you sat next to him, he would share his food. And any young child that used to come to the masjid, he would keep sweets in his pockets, and he would give them 1 sweet each. If he saw a young kid, less than 10 or whatever, someone who's looking short or young, he would give them some sweets. And this is the sort of gentleman that we miss and we used to have in this masjid. And I'm sure there are others of the old folk and even some of us guys here that we may do that in our own settings. But these are some of the qualities that would attract younger people, would attract older people, would attract similar age people to come say and have a findi. Something that we can bring into our lives.
What's the most shocking part of that story?
What?
That somebody managed to take a bundle of pakora past Molana Sajid.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think Molana was there. Molana is it going to
now that's
I accept the story.
I accept the fully accept the story and I endorse the story. But up to that point, I had a little bit of shock in my mind that, maybe.
Why? I used to sit with Babar, so I used to sit opposite with him. So I used to get the favorite one.
He's always been a smart one. He gives the impression that he's not like fully aware of what's going on, but
strategic seating.
Strategic seating.
So those are fun memories, and then
so he's a man who brought positivity.
Yeah, and with food.
Food is a good way of bringing positivity.
There's another example, there's another gentleman, he's still, alhamdulillah, with us in this world. He used to bring regularly milk shakes.
He's also passed away.
Allah yarham. I forgot. I had a brain operation, so I do feel sometimes.
That's right. That's why we always question your story until we get it verified.
So this gentleman used to bring a few gallons of milk mixed with ruafza and make a milkshake out of it. And used to
why are you speaking about food in Ramadan? Are you trying to wind this up or something? So you got 2 movies here.
And I think, remember, positivity after this, we've got to go home, help our women folk.
I'm leaning towards your theory. I'm leaning towards your theory.
Which was that?
About how Molana is.
I told you.
You're staying safe, though. You're staying here. We're going to go home.
I've got no food. No, I have got food.
Neither will us two.
But he's actually doing.
No, he's going to get his food.
I'm cooking kawa today.
Kawa?
Yeah. Have you not that dish? Beautiful dish. You should give it.
Does it take salt or just without salt?
You can put salt on it, anything.
Yeah. I'll try out.
Yeah. So tomorrow we just put all the plates down and just say it's a new dish.
Kawa.
And then as much you like. And the thing, there's no limit to you can use it,
and it doesn't impact your weight.
No.
That's like in Neverland. If you know the story of Peter Pan, you imagine you having food,
Right.
and it's
You
all in the
actually
mind.
have.
And there's in reality, if someone's looking from outside, there's nothing in your plate. But those guys who are in Neverland, they're
They
eating.
actually.
So
I seen
perceive.
on a YouTube. There's a clip of a takeaway or a restaurant that's open.
That sells halal.
That the thing is, you don't eat food. You purchase, but there's no food on your plate, and you dine and everything, and you're with your friends and everything,
But there's no food.
and there's no food.
I think 21 days of Ramadan is
It was strange, but they
Let's
asked us
open a restaurant because we could make a killing.
Why would you need restaurant?
Yeah, we just pretend there's no restaurant either. Just sit
let's
outside.
go.
Yeah, just
you
go
see.
sit in the park.
Sit in the back, say, come to me,
Charge them for
give me your money.
Yeah, just so basically just take money off them. They say, you're signing my restaurant. And I say, what are you chatting about? This is my restaurant. Can you see it? No, I can't. Right, and you're eating my food.
a pound for everything.
Yeah,
Pound for
it's been
fish,
cheap.
pound for pizza,
Yeah,
pound for steak.
No. I think this has been a worthwhile use of my time.
Alhamdulillah.
Wanna
We've
walk
got
away.
business plan as well.
Business plan as well. Alhamdulillah.
So we're coming towards the end of time, so it's almost 1:30. So
Allah.
let's sum up sort of some of the main points that we've been talking about today around positivity, and then inshallah we'll bring it to a close. So we've been talking about taking a step back, retrospecting how this life is temporary, and that's how the believer wants to get out, and he wants to get to that freedom, which is Jannat, inshallah, and that next life, and not to get caught up in the moment, because it's a perpetual spiral downward. Just take a step back. And the other big thing we've been talking about is talk. If you haven't got someone to talk to, ring. If you've got issues with somebody, ring them, and don't project. Don't project your negativity.
Speak to Allah first.
That's a big point. Allah's our best friend. Speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Speak to other people. If there's elders, have a conversation with them lot, and listen. Listen to people, because it allows people to just get that burden off their chest, and it'll bring them up. And inshallah, you'll be rewarded for that. Anything I missed?
No. Just about that Molana Sajid is going to get fed well tonight. And we need to learn from him. So
I
tomorrow,
think if anybody wants to write any comments of what possibly to discuss in the next few days,
Yeah, so by all means,
suggestions.
drop comments, send messages to anyone. Our numbers, Molana Sajid numbers on the website. If you want to drop messages to that, or if you got one of the other brothers' numbers, or in the comments. Anyway, you want to get in touch with us.
because we've got 9 more days, haven't we? So we need 9 more topics.
9 more, inshallah.
So what we talk about tomorrow?
Well, shall we leave? Shall we get that?
Let's close this off, and then
Yeah, let's see
inshallah,
what we'll get back, and then if we got some feedback, we'll make mashwara by tonight, inshallah ta'ala, and we'll be ready for tomorrow.
I would just like to say to all the viewers and listeners, we have a big project, community project at the background. I don't know how much of that you can see. It's a new build. Please visit the Masjid Umar website. It's www.masjid-umar.net. It's got the account details where you can donate if you like. It's the last 9 days now. Take as much benefit as you can from this. Increase your rewards, not just for yourselves, for your family folk, for those who have passed away, for those who are still here in this world. And this is exponential. You invest now for your future later on. And this will continue to go on until that building is still there. So inshallah, so this building is at all the project details are on there. You can see that, and the donation details are on there as well if you'd like. And we would hope you can just participate and take this opportunity to donate to this project. And by that, I'm not the official donator spokesperson, and I've done it 2 days running. I just thought I'd remind you guys.
Sounds like you are the official.
I think we're gonna make that. There's no such position. We're gonna make the
I haven't
position.
said it yet. You haven't said it. You haven't said it. So I don't know. You look like you've become that person.
You've adopted that role.
So you need a little badge as well. You need to get your Friends of Alexa badge for tomorrow. Remember that?
And yourself.
Friends of Masjid Umar.
Friends of Masjid.
That's your badge.
Is there such a thing as a Friends of Masjid badge?
Friends
You
of
have
Masjid.
badges as well.
We have to reach a status.
Oh, like okay. Have you got yours?
You got
Yeah,
to earn. You
you
got
have
to
to
earn
Earn
it.
it.
Like you got to earn Jannat.
Yeah, oh, subhanallah.
You got to earn
So now you bring it in right near the end. You should have brought that in from the beginning. Now, wait.
So
Wow.
want to make sure you earn it, and then come here.
Just bring your pillow.
Then I'll get the. Okay.
Get
that's
seal of approval. بارك فيكم guys.
جزاكم الله خير.
السلام
وآخر
عليكم.
دعوانا سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. that.